Hello and welcome back to the Nerf versus series for my channel. My name is Luke Triton. In this series I take two similar Nerf blasters and put them head to head to see which one is the best. For this episode I'm going to be putting the Motoblitz up against the Turbine. So both of these blasters are from the Elite 2.0 line, and Elite 2.0 straight away a lot of people don't really associate that with anything good. But these two blasters are commonly seen as the two best blasters for Elite 2.0. But with the purpose of this video, let's find out which one is best. So I have had a bit of a kick when it comes to Elite 2.0, and that's not quite what you think it is. Elite 2.0 is still very much hated by a lot of people, but it's interesting looking back, having a bit of a retrospective, going, oh my god, that's what it was like back then. And it's really interesting to look at these two blasters and go, that's a thing that was in this line. A lot of the blasters are basically described as Alpha Strike level blasters. I was definitely one of those people to make the comparison. But it was so interesting to see how these two stood out. So the ultimate goal for this episode, and of course with this whole series, is to take two similar blasters and see which one is ultimately the best. So I will be looking at the main points for both of these blasters, and more so the points that make these good. So we're going to be kicking things off with the Turbine, which came out with the initial wave of Elite 2.0 back in mid-2020. And this was a breath of fresh air. I remember when people were doing their reviews of all the other blasters, they were just not happy. But when it came to the Turbine, it was good. It's not perfect, and it's definitely not the successor to the Rapid Strike as Nerf wanted it to be, but it is still really good. So before we progress, I do need to make it known that if you have seen my review video for the Turbine, you will notice that the stock has been modified. This is because the stock for the Turbine is tiny anyways, and this, for me at least, feels much better. So this is not part of the main product, so we are going to have to try and ignore that as much as we can. But here are the main points for the Turbine. The Turbine is a battery-powered flywheel, fully automatic, magazine-fed blaster. And that in of itself is quite rare. Nerf has only ever done this with a couple of other blasters, and when you think to other toy companies, I can't, at least, me, I'm not that much of a model or really go outside of other companies, but off the top of my head, I really cannot think of any other blasters that are like this. We have flywheelers that take magazines, but most of them are semi-automatic. Full auto is much rarer. So this straight away becomes way more desirable. At least to me, that's what makes this a much better and much more desirable blaster right off the bat. Now, because this is a mainstream Nerf blaster, this isn't a gimmicky one or themed like a Fortnite blaster, for example. This has tactical potential. There are 4 rails on this blaster and a barrel extension point. Happy Coop 772 noises. So I, for one, love attachments with this hobby. It's so fun, it's really toyetic, and being able to decorate this with attachments and kind of have my own combos going is a really fun thing to do, and it allows me to decorate my toy. Well, my toy, yes, but my blaster, it is a toy after all. It's what gives me a lot of fun with this. And the final pro I will make is a bit of a surprising one, because not a lot of people really remember this anymore, because the Turbine is about 3 years old at this point. But if I open up, or maybe even just take off the jam door, because, Elite 2.0, does anyone remember doing that? Yeah, it was quite the happy accident, because we can now take off the jam doors and there's no locks in place. Anyways, so the stock rate of fire is really quick. I'm going to quickly do this. Well, can I do this without holding? Here we go. I want to make sure I'm not standing at some kind of weird angle. So, warning for the volume as well. That is roughly 5 darts a second. And that, for a stock blaster, was so good. When you think back to the infamous, again, all the other previous full auto blasters that took magazines, it was about 3 darts a second at most with fully charged batteries. You had to modify it to get a LiPo in there to get it quicker. I had to change the internals maybe. But that stock, that was so cool to see. Because finally, these mainstream companies are accepting what the hobby wants. Faster firing is a good thing. It's full auto after all. Let's have some fun with it. And now let's talk about the Motoblitz. So the Motoblitz is also magazine fed and is also a flywheeler. But this is semi-automatic compared to the Turbine's fully automatic. Now there are a hell of a lot of semi-auto flywheelers out there, especially ones that are magazine fed. So what makes the Motoblitz stand out? Well, there are a couple of things. First of all, it's bullpup. The magazine is behind the trigger. I don't care who you are, that is a fun thing to have. There are a few blasters out there that have this configuration, especially as blasters that you can buy off the shelf. And this is what made it stand out. It's not practical for a foam dart toy blaster, but it is cool. And a big pro that this has compared to the Turbine, the magazine release actually works. Sad Turbine noises. If you know, you know. But we are focusing on the pros, so let's just carry on from there. One of the biggest selling points for the Motoblitz as well was this Master Key shotgun thing at the front. So it has a little air tank with this pump, so you can pump it about, 8 times I think it said on the box. And when you press this big old button, there is one on each side, so it is ambidextrous, which is very cool, unlike the paint. But again, trying to stick to the positives here. It fires 6 darts at a time, and I have used this plenty of times, and it really is that fun. It is such a cool thing to be able to have something like this on a black. That's stock! There's no integration mod thing going on. That is stock, and it is absolutely spectacular. Speaking of spectacular, the next pro I want to point out, the overall silhouette and look of this blaster. It looks really cool. Not so much sci-fi, it does look a little bit futuristic, like 5 years from now, sort of futuristic, compared to other sci-fi blasters that try to go 100 years in the future. This looks sleek and is more of a here's what's to come style of design. The biggest pro for the Motoblitz is the same pro that loads of people point out, mainly because of how this is with Elite 2.0. This is a blaster you can actually open up and modify should you want to. Elite 2.0 blasters, really up until the Motoblitz, and even after the Motoblitz, had clips and solvent welds. So if it broke, it would be impossible to open and repair because you'd be damaging it further. But this has loads of screw holes on the other side, so you can actually open this to make the necessary repairs should this blaster become damaged in the first place. I have not had to make such repairs, but the point still stands. It's what Elite 2.0 should have been, and what it should have represented. This is one of the main reasons, like that reason alone really is why so many people champion this blaster for Elite 2.0. So now that I have gone over both blasters, which one do I pick as the winner? Well, this is actually really interesting because in testing these blasters for this video, I spent a good day playing with both of these and I thought there's actually a lot going on for both of these blasters. There are little things about them that I don't really like personally, but it didn't detract from the entire experience. Again, there were a few things that kind of got in the way, mainly because the Turbine is already modified for me. That was, I didn't want that to be a contributing factor, but it wouldn't go away. But after all the testing, I've decided that personally, for this versus battle, the Motoblitz is the winner. And I think it does go without saying that this truly is the best blaster in Elite 2.0. It's just a shame it hasn't really come back to this level since. Again, at the time of recording, we really haven't had that many mainstream Elite 2.0 releases. Nothing as exciting as this, especially. But it's just a good thing to look at and go, this is what Elite 2.0 should have been. We've had this conversation millions of times. And that is the end of the video. Thank you all ever so much for watching. This was a really fun and interesting experience playing with these two blasters again, especially in preparation for this video. Now, the general consensus for Elite 2.0 is the Turbine and the Motoblitz are the only two good blasters that the line has produced. There are some other blasters that I personally do really like. The Flip 32 is one that I actually really enjoy playing with. But it's only really fair to look at these two because whilst I do have my preferences, these two really are the best Elite 2.0 has to offer. And it's interesting seeing how Elite 2.0 started with the Turbine and how it pretty much ended with the Motoblitz. Technically, Elite 2.0 is still going, at least at the time of recording this video. But I would like to try and work on this big essay video thing, whatever the technical, was it like a study video? There is a word for it. But like a 20-minute discussion of sorts where I just get all my ideas and thoughts out into video format to talk about what I, for one, would like to see from Nerf going forwards. Everybody wants to see Elite 2.0 gone, everyone has ideas and pictures for what they want to see, but with ideas and these thoughts in my mind, they've never really left, so I can just get this into video format. That would be something I would love to do in the future. In the description you can find a link to my second channel where you can find content on other themes that are outside of LEGO Trains and Nerf blasters. You can also find links to my Instagram and Flickr pages if you want to see some more sneak peeks and behind the scenes action. Also in the description is a link to my Discord server where you can chat with like-minded fans of LEGO Trains and Nerf blasters. Thank you all ever so much for watching everyone, and I shall see you all in the next episode. Bye bye.